"Mom, why is that man staring at us?" The little boy's question cut through the crowded Atlanta airport. Across the terminal, Ethan Walker stood frozen beside his suitcase, staring at two 4-year-old twins with his gray-green eyes, his crooked smile, and the same crescent-shaped birthmark that had marked every firstborn Walker boy for 3 generations. Then their mother turned around. Ethan's face went pale. It was the wife he had divorced 5 years earlier because she couldn't give him children. At 39, Ethan still carried himself like the ambitious corporate attorney he had always been. His tailored charcoal suit fit his broad shoulders perfectly, and silver had begun to appear near his temples. But in that moment, all his confidence disappeared. The woman standing 20 feet away was Naomi Carter. She was 37 now, with rich brown skin and dark natural curls falling over the collar of her camel-colored coat. She looked more self-assured than the woman he remembered, calmer, stronger. One twin, a boy wearing a red dinosaur backpack, held her left hand. His sister, dressed in a yellow sweater and denim skirt, clutched a stuffed rabbit against her chest. Naomi followed her son's gaze. When she saw Ethan, her body stiffened. "Naomi?" he whispered. She lowered her eyes and reached for the handle of her luggage. "Come on, Miles. Lily, we need to find our gate." Ethan moved before he could think. "Wait." Naomi stopped, but she didn't turn around. The twins looked back at him with open curiosity. Ethan's eyes settled on Miles. The boy pushed his glasses up his nose, using one finger, exactly the way Ethan had done as a child. Then Lily tilted her head, revealing a small crescent-shaped mark beneath her right ear. Ethan's chest tightened. "How old are they?" Naomi slowly faced him. Her expression held no fear, only a guarded patience that made him feel like a stranger, asking for something he had no right to know. "They're 4. 4. The divorce had been finalized 5 years ago. Ethan stared at her, struggling to breathe normally. "Are they mine?" Naomi's jaw tightened. 5 years earlier, she would have cried at a question like that. Now she simply looked him in the eye. "You don't get to ask me that in front of my children." She turned and walked away. Ethan remained in the middle of the terminal while travelers moved around him. His phone vibrated with a message from his fiancée, Claire, reminding him about their fertility appointment the following morning. He barely saw the words. All he could see was the little crescent-shaped mark beneath Lily's ear. And for the first time in 5 years, Ethan wondered if the greatest mistake of his life had been built on a lie he had chosen to believe. Naomi and Ethan had met 12 years earlier at a community fundraiser in Charlotte, North Carolina. She was a 30-year-old elementary school counselor with a quick laugh and a habit of remembering everyone's name. Ethan was a rising attorney, working 70-hour weeks, convinced that success could protect him from every disappointment. Naomi softened him. She taught him to leave the office before sunset. She filled their home with music, Sunday dinners, and handwritten notes tucked inside his briefcase. They married 2 years later. For the first 3 years, they were happy. Then the questions began. When are you two having babies? Ethan's mother, Margaret, asked it at holidays. His colleagues asked it at dinner parties. Even strangers seemed to believe Naomi's body was public property. At first, Naomi smiled politely. We're trying, but trying became calendars, hormone injections, blood tests, specialists, and negative pregnancy tests hidden beneath bathroom tissue. Naomi endured every appointment. Ethan attended too. When the fertility doctor suggested they both undergo complete testing, Ethan completed only the basic screening. The results showed slightly reduced sperm movement, but he never returned for the follow-up evaluation. I'm not the problem, he told Naomi one night. There are children everywhere in my family. That isn't how fertility works, she replied. He heard accusation where there was only exhaustion. Their marriage slowly became a courtroom. Ethan presented arguments. Naomi defended herself. Neither felt heard. Then Ethan's father, Harold, died suddenly from a heart attack. Grief made Ethan colder. His father had dreamed of becoming a grandfather, and Ethan turned that loss into anger. 3 months later, he came home with divorce papers. Naomi stood in their kitchen, wearing gray sweatpants and one of his old college shirts. A pot of soup simmered behind her. "What is this?" she asked. "I can't keep pretending I'm okay with never having a family." Naomi stared at him. "We are a family. You know what I mean?" Her eyes filled, but she refused to look away. "No, Ethan. Say exactly what you mean." He swallowed. "I want children. You can't give me that." The silence that followed was worse than shouting. Naomi removed her wedding ring and placed it on the kitchen counter. "You were supposed to stand beside me," she said quietly. "Instead, you turned my pain into evidence against me." Ethan told himself divorce was necessary. He told his friends they had grown apart. He told his mother that Naomi had accepted it. But the truth was uglier. He had abandoned her during the most painful season of her life, because blaming her felt easier than confronting his own fear. If this story already has you wondering what Naomi discovered after Ethan left, subscribe and stay with her, because the truth arrived when she was completely alone. 6 weeks after Ethan moved out, Naomi collapsed during a counseling session. Her doctor confirmed she was 8 weeks pregnant. Twins. The pregnancy had happened naturally, just before Ethan filed for divorce. Naomi laughed and cried in the examination room. Then she called him. His number went directly to voicemail. She called again that evening, and the next morning. Finally, she drove to Ethan's new apartment with the ultrasound image inside a white envelope. A blonde woman in workout clothes opened the door. She introduced herself as Claire Bennett. Claire was 32 then, a marketing executive with blue eyes and a polished smile. Ethan had met her after separating from Naomi, but Naomi didn't know that. "I need to speak to Ethan," Naomi said. "He doesn't want contact outside the attorneys. This isn't about the divorce." Claire glanced at the envelope. "Then give it to me." Naomi hesitated, then handed it over. "Please make sure he gets this." Claire promised she would, but she didn't. Claire had spent years watching her own parents destroy each other through divorce. She feared Ethan would return to Naomi out of obligation, and in one selfish moment, she placed the envelope inside a desk drawer. She told herself she would give it to him later. Later became 5 years. Naomi also sent Ethan a certified letter, but he had instructed his attorney to return personal correspondence unopened. Her final email was filtered into an old account he no longer checked. By the time the twins were born prematurely, Naomi had stopped chasing a man who had made it clear he didn't want to be found. Her older sister, Renee, moved in for 3 months. Naomi returned to work, finished a master's degree, and eventually became director of student services for a charter school network. She did not raise Miles and Lily to hate their father. When they asked why other children had dads at school events, Naomi told them the truth in words they could understand. "Your father and I were hurt, and sometimes hurt people make decisions before they know the whole truth." Back at the airport, severe thunderstorms delayed every flight leaving Atlanta. Ethan found Naomi near a crowded restaurant, helping Lily color while Miles watched planes through the window. A tall black man approached carrying a tray of food. He was around 40, with a close-trimmed beard, rectangular glasses, and a navy sweater over a white shirt. Lily jumped from her chair. "Uncle Marcus!" The word uncle brought Ethan relief he didn't deserve. Marcus Reed was Naomi's longtime friend and the twins' pediatrician. He had supported her through Lily's premature birth and Miles's childhood asthma, but he and Naomi had never dated. Marcus noticed Ethan and immediately understood. "You must be Ethan." Ethan looked at Naomi. "You told him about me?" "I tell the people I trust the truth." The words landed hard. Ethan pulled out a chair but didn't sit. "Naomi, I need to know. And I need you to lower your voice." He glanced at the children. "Can we talk somewhere private?" Marcus stayed with the twins while Naomi led Ethan toward an empty gate. "They're yours," she said before he could ask again. Ethan gripped the back of a chair. "You knew?" "Since 6 weeks after you left." His face crumpled. "Why didn't you tell me?" Naomi let out one humorless laugh. "I called you 11 times. I drove to your apartment. I sent letters. Your lawyer returned them. I emailed you. I never received anything. I gave the ultrasound to Claire." Ethan went still. "Claire?" "She answered your door." His phone vibrated again. Claire's name appeared on the screen. Ethan declined the call. Why didn't you try again after they were born? Naomi's eyes sharpened. I was recovering from an emergency delivery with 2 babies in intensive care. I was working, grieving my marriage, and learning how to be a mother alone. You had blocked me everywhere. How many times was I supposed to beg you to care? Ethan lowered his head. She stepped closer. I wanted my children to be wanted, Ethan, not tolerated because a DNA test forced someone to acknowledge them. A boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. Ethan wiped his face with the heel of his hand. I need to meet them. No. The answer came immediately. They're my children. They are not a possession you misplaced, Naomi replied. They're human beings. You don't get to enter their lives because you recognized your own face. Before Ethan could respond, Miles began coughing across the terminal. Naomi ran toward him. The boy's cough deepened into a wheeze. Marcus reached for the inhaler in Naomi's bag, but Miles panicked and pushed it away. Ethan knelt several feet from him. Miles, look at me. The boy's frightened eyes met his. When I was little, I had trouble breathing too. Pretend you're slowly cooling down hot chocolate. Ethan demonstrated a controlled breath. Miles copied him while Marcus administered the inhaler. Within moments, the wheezing eased. Naomi watched Ethan hold the boy's gaze, calm and steady. It did not erase the past, but it complicated the future. That evening, Ethan confronted Claire. She sat across from him in their Charlotte townhouse, twisting her engagement ring.
From me?
When he
Ethan,
mentioned the
please,
envelope,
I can
her face
explain
gave him the answer. You knew, he said. Claire's eyes filled with tears. I was afraid. For 5 years, I thought you would leave me. So you hid my children from me? I hid an ultrasound. You hid from Naomi first. Ethan flinched. Claire stood, crying now. What I did was unforgivable. But don't make me the only villain, because it's easier than admitting you created the opportunity. You blocked your wife before the divorce was even final. You refused the fertility tests. You wanted a clean ending, and I gave you one. Claire retrieved the faded envelope from the back of her desk. It had never been opened. Inside was an ultrasound image and a note. Ethan, I know you believe our story is over, but 2 new lives have begun. I'm not asking you to return to me. I'm asking you to show up for them. He sank into the chair. Claire removed her ring. I'm sorry, she whispered, but neither of us is ready for marriage. The following morning, Ethan attended the fertility appointment alone. The specialist reviewed his new test results and explained that Ethan had a condition that significantly reduced his chances of fathering children, though it did not make natural conception impossible. Naomi had never been the reason they struggled. Ethan sat in his car afterward, staring through the windshield. He had discarded a loyal wife, missed a high-risk pregnancy, 2 births, first words, first steps, and 4 birthdays, all because his pride demanded someone else carry the blame. He called Naomi. I completed the tests, he said. You weren't the problem. You never were. Naomi was silent. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't restore 5 years. I know. What do you want? A chance to earn whatever place you believe I can safely have. Naomi agreed to supervised visits, not because Ethan demanded them, but because Miles and Lily deserved the opportunity to know where they came from. The first visit lasted 45 minutes in a public park. Ethan arrived with expensive toys. The twins ignored them and chased ducks instead. At the next visit, he brought bubbles and peanut butter sandwiches cut into stars. Lily asked why he looked like Miles. Ethan glanced at Naomi before answering. Because I'm your biological father. Miles frowned. Where were you? Ethan's throat tightened. I made a terrible decision before I knew about you. Then I didn't listen when your mom tried to tell me. Are you leaving again? Lily asked. No, Ethan said. But I understand if you need time to believe that. And they did. For nearly a year, Ethan attended counseling and parenting classes. He showed up for school events without demanding recognition. He paid back child support voluntarily and created education accounts for the twins. But Naomi made it clear that money could not purchase trust. One afternoon, Miles had a science presentation. Ethan arrived late after a court hearing and stood quietly at the back of the classroom. Miles saw him and smiled. It was the first time either child had been happy to see him. Afterward, Ethan sat alone in his car and cried. Months later, Claire asked to meet Naomi. She apologized without excuses and handed her copies of the hidden note and her written confession. Naomi did not forgive her immediately, but she said something Claire never forgot. Forgiveness can release me from carrying what you did. It does not require me to pretend you didn't do it. Ethan eventually left corporate law and joined a family legal aid organization, helping parents navigate custody disputes without turning children into weapons. He and Naomi did not remarry. Their love had once been real, but some damage changes the shape of a relationship permanently. Instead, they built something different, respectful co-parenting grounded in honesty. 2 years after the airport encounter, Naomi watched from the porch as Ethan taught Miles and Lily to ride bicycles. Marcus stood beside her holding 2 cups of coffee. "You okay?" he asked. Naomi smiled as Lily pedaled forward, shouting with joy, while Ethan ran behind her. "I am now." Ethan looked toward Naomi. Gratitude crossed his face, not because she had erased the past, but because she had allowed him to become better than the man who created it. He had once believed family was something another person owed him. Now he understood that family was built through patience, responsibility, and the courage to remain present after the truth became uncomfortable. If you were Naomi, would you have allowed Ethan into the twins' lives, or was his apology too late? Share your thoughts, subscribe, and send this story to someone who believes accountability can change a person. Because sometimes life does not return what pride took away. It simply offers one final chance to stop running and start showing up.
Breathe with me, nice and slow.
Is he gonna be okay?
He's doing much better now. There you